also behind the scenes, Sophie Sparks and Adam Bonzer, who are actually making this possible, because we would just sit here maybe playing and singing to a very select audience, but because of these two we are able to do it live today by the internet. Completely exciting times, and I hope you are getting excited about the contents of the music. It's a really interesting, I hope, mix of songs and arias. Thanks also to Peter Tompkins, who's hired the space out to us, who's owning this beautiful, amazing space. And you will find a link to the program in your description, video description, either Facebook or YouTube. And everything foreign is either explained or translated depending on the length of the song. If my English is not clear enough, I apologize in advance. You have to look up the lyrics if you haven't understood me. But I hope you might. And I hope you enjoy the program, which is very varied, partly because I thought a live stream might be best if we have sort of small groups of songs or a couple of oratorio arias sprinkled in as well. And we're going to start with a short group of 3 aria antiche, Italian, and all of them loosely to do with love, having unrequited love in the first one, tu lo sai, you know how much I love you, cruel one, and the second one sort of gives an explanation, but it's not a connected piece, it's not even the same composer who wrote it. I'm explaining to the shepherd who loves me so much that I'm very sorry if he thinks I need to exclusively love him back. Sorry, that won't happen. But I'm very happy that you love me all the same. And the third one is sort of me reminiscing on how love has me in its clutches and how life is difficult. Having love pinch you, even chew you, which is a bit disgusting, but anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and let's get started.
Oh, now we're going to, Gisela's going to sing two oratorio arias. The first needs no introduction, Rejoice from Handel's Messiah, which is very much just a extremely upbeat aria that could be a part of an opera, and is literally very just rejoice, it is all about. Followed by Et Incarnatus Est from Mozart's Mass in C minor. This is a very kind of special to Mozart's heart, as when he returned to Salzburg from Vienna, in order to introduce his new wife Constanza to his disapproving father, in an attempt to win him over, he wrote the Mass in C minor. Constanza herself premiered it in Salzburg, and it has been performed every year ever since that. So Gisela is now going to sing Rejoice from Messiah, followed by Et Incarnatus Est from Mozart's Mass in C minor. Isabella Colbrand was a very interesting character. She was at one stage premier soprano of her day. She grew up in the... her father was a well-noted musician in the court at Madrid. She then moved to become the prima donna at the theatre in Naples, where she came across famous impresario Domenico Ballerai, and he commissioned lots of operas by Bellini and Donizetti, but also was involved in gambling parlours as well. Isabella became quite fond of gambling, and she was doing quite well professionally. She also had a lot of family money, so she had plenty of opportunity to use it in the gambling. She then became involved romantically with Rossini and married him. Her career was short-lived and kind of finished in about 1824 when she did a fairly disastrous concert in London. And she kind of retired fairly soon after that to Bologna, where she continued to gamble her money away. Rossini still sent her money as well as having family money, and she died aged 60 in about 1842, I think. Anyway, she also composed 4 sets of songs, and this is from one set of those songs, I do believe. Anyway, hope you enjoy. All right.
Tu
We're going to switch back to oratorio now and doing slightly earlier piece again by Felix Mendelssohn, and I think it's very well known to you as well, the beginning of the second part of Elijah, Hear Ye Israel. we're going to take a couple of minutes break. Won't be long. Thank you very much, and we're going to continue to what we dubbed the second half. It's more German, I'm afraid, so it's. I chose these 4 songs as a sort of sequence, even though they're not a cycle. They are first a late girl about a girl who's in demand of her father, wants her to rock the baby's cradle, and the mum wants her to tell her the secrets of the girls and promise her, make big promises about what they give her for it. 3 goose eggs and 3 sort of roasted birds, but she knows they've promised me 3, but what I'm going to get is 1, they're going to eat the other 2. But the last verse is about her lover and how he promises her 3 kisses if only she thought about him at the time they were away. And she knows those 3 kisses won't be all that she's getting. And in the second song, she's on her way to him, that's my idea anyway. And the third song, Die Nacht, is all about how night changes all, takes all the colours of things, and there's a little bit of anxiety about how a night might also take your lover from you. And the last one is the 2 lovers come back united again in another moment of bliss. And I've read that Strauss has been told that he doesn't have to be taught harmony, which is the chords you choose to go with the melody. And if you just enjoy the amazing chords that he's sometimes, the shifts he's taking, just sort of relish it. That is something I always do when I sing them. And I hope you enjoy them as much as we are. Mein Vater hat gesagt, ich soll das Kindlein wiegen. Wollte auf den Abend keine sieht mit treu, ist mit frei, und ich mag nicht reden ein einziges Mal.
Ich eile
Gisela and I are going to be performing 3 songs by Madeline Dring in the title The Enchantment Echoes, and we also start with My True Love Hath a Heart. Madeline Dring was an English composer born in Hornsey. She studied at Royal College of Music and under Herbert Howells. She married the principal oboist of the LSO, Roger Lord, and had a very individual compositional style. I won't say too much more, apart from on a BBC programme about her, this sums up her compositional style. Madeline's Dring's gift was for assimilating what she liked from other composers and then producing something utterly original, something entirely the work of Madeline Dring and none other. So that was her compositional style. Modern settings, these, of old poems by English poems.
True
We're going to switch language once more to French for the last 3 songs of our performance today. And Debussy, all 3 of them, and the first one is another devotion of love type of theme. I'm presenting gifts to my lover. And this song and the next one after, which is the Chevaux de Bois, they have a sort of funny history with me, because when I, as a pianist, went to the Guildhall School for the audition, Green, the first one we're going to do, was one of the Sept accompaniments, and I loved it so much that when I also added singing, I had to sing that as well, because I loved singing, and we were always taught to play and learn the singer's part as well as our own. And the Chevaux de Bois was then part of my final recital. So I relish always the beginning of that, which is all about a fanfare, the wooden horses of the carousel turning, and you can hear some tunes, I think, that make that very vivid, and then night falls and everything calms down. And these are the first 2, and I'm going to speak again before the last one. Voici le fruit des fleurs et des feuilles et des branches, et puis voici mon cœur qui me bat que pour vous. Venez chez le camp avec vos 2 branches, et quand vous the end of that song, at the end of that song, the church bell rang once more in a sad sort of way. And of course we are in the clock tower, not quite a church, we're a train station, but the clock is quite a sort of ringing, bell ringing is a nice little analogy here. We are staying with a sort of slightly fantasy world, and it's Pierrot who has come down. He's a mime and has just finished his performance with Harlequin, and he's on his way home. The girl is trying to make fun of him, but he communicates with the moon. The moon is winking at him, and it's a nice little encounter. And it was, the person mentioned here was Jean Gaspard du Bureau, who was a famous mime in Debussy's sort of contemporary times. Thank you very much for listening, and if you liked what you heard, there's a way to donate. There will be some there's information on the live stream description as well, and thanks so much for those who have already done so. That was really much appreciated, and I appreciate you all for tuning in and for staying with as much as you wanted to, but hopefully a lot of it. And you can still share the link. The video will remain active even after the live stream is over. So thanks once more, and thank you to John again, and Adam and Sophie very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.